NYPD and Mayor Eric Adams for a police ride-along.
Well, it was an effort by the mayor to defend his veto of the How Many Stops Act and show lawmakers firsthand the amount of paperwork that would be involved. The bill would require officers to document nearly all encounters with the public, including casual inquiries. Supporters say the bill increases transparency, while critics argue it will bog officers down. City Council Minority Leader Joe Borelli went along for the ride-alongs. He joins us this morning. Did it change your mind? What did you notice when you did these ride-alongs?
Well, first and foremost, we saw dozens of New Yorkers in uniform, every race, color, and creed, doing their darndest to do a good job for the people of the city of New York. Oftentimes, in the incidents we responded to, that involved a whole bunch of officers going door to door, walking down the block, inquiring with New Yorkers whether they saw anything related to the incidents. We were at drive-by shootings, we were at robberies, we were at people fleeing the cops, throwing guns out the window. And these are all scenarios where we want the majority of our police officers' time to be doing police work.
Which, all that happened on the Friday night? I mean, all that happened on the night when you guys went out?
All that happened within the 3 or so hours that we were with Deputy Commissioner Daughtry and some other officers.
So let me ask you something. The mayor needs a number of city council members to support him so he doesn't get overrode, right? Does he have that support? And who should be with, because you're going to vote with the mayor, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Who is surprising you that is not going to vote to support the mayor?
There's a lot of people who are surprising
me.
Gail
Brewer is one of them that I thought.
Yeah. Some of them will tell me privately that they know this is a bill that's going to accomplish nothing in the sphere of police reform. We're not actually going to reform or get any abusive police off the street. And they know this is a bad bill and time-consuming, but are still voting for it. Those are the problems.
Why are they doing that, though? I don't understand that.
Because
why are they
would rather be invited to all the swanky woke parties than make real changes to laws that matter.
Despite the fact that their constituents are calling their office, they're like, tell me, Gail Brewer, Julie Menon, these are people that are in neighborhoods that I'm sure support the police.
And these are two smart women who I thought should know better.
Why won't they support the mayor?
I'm not sure. I mean, we have had demonstrations of how long this takes. And by the way, this will take, some people say it'll take 3 minutes, 4 minutes. Some people say it'll take an hour when you aggregate all of this stuff. These are all the same people who get all their panties in a bunch when we talk about police overtime, we want to defund the police. Now, the only choice is you either pull an officer off patrol to do that paperwork or you pay them overtime to do it. It's just complete hypocrisy. Even more so on the hypocrisy, my friend and colleague Jumaane Williams has bashed the NYPD for keeping a database on things like gangs and gang members. Now he wants to create a database on every Mrs. McGillicuddy and Mrs. Jones who kindly answers the door, looks at a picture and says, no, I didn't see the little missing girl.
We know he's expected to have a news conference a little later this morning. We know one city council member who was invited on the police ride-along and said he was going to go is council member Yusef Salaam, but he was pulled over by the NYPD and subsequently let go. A lot of questions about sort of the interpretation of what happened there. He said that it was another reason why there should be this transparency, and you said that what happened was misrepresented.
Well, first of all, lucky for him that police stops in vehicles are already recorded and there are already reports. That's why we had the video footage of what actually transpired. And you saw two police officers doing the absolute appropriate thing, identifying themselves, asking polite, direct questions, asking him to comply. And by the way, the most aggravating thing for me is where I come from. When someone cuts you a break and treats you with courtesy and respect and dignity, you don't go out minutes later and try to get them jammed up by misrepresenting the truth.
He said that he'd asked the officer for an explanation as to why he was pulled over. He said he didn't get it. The video, it's sort of unclear. He says something, but it's unclear exactly what was said. Do you think that he said that and the officer should have given a reason why he pulled him over?
No, I mean, officers are not required to. In the grand panoply of life, I mean, most people would rather get a break from a police officer than get a lecture. And this is one of those cases where the officer used his discretion to not give this council member a ticket. He thought he was doing the right thing, extending some courtesy and some common decency to a man with his family. And that person goes out the next day and says, I was pulled over for reasons that aren't exactly true.
And wait a second, he had Georgia plates, right? And don't you have to change your plates when you move to New York after 30 30 days?
You have 30 days to register when you move to New York. I can't speak for his residency, but I'm sure he's here and voting and being a resident.
Right, and are there tax, insurance, savings measures when you still are registered in Georgia and not New York?
Well, I just saw my tax bill, my insurance bill, so I'm assuming anywhere on planet Earth has to be less than New York.
Okay, interesting. Okay, but I just want to get back to the city council people who are not going to support the mayor. Are they afraid that the city council leader will take them off committees, not give them money, basically
they're afraid of
put
that.
a gun to their head and say, you do that, there will be repercussions?
They're afraid of that. The speaker has methods of cajoling members. That's not new to this speaker. That's not unique to this speaker.
No, it's not.
I think what's more important is that most of these members are facing a Democratic primary for re-election. The majority of the council is up for re-election, not me, I'll be gone. But the majority of the members face a strong Democratic primary, and that's all they are concerned about. And until we change that model where the Democratic primary is the only election that matters in many districts, we will see people err on the side of wokeness against perhaps their own conscience.
We know that a lot of the focus obviously has been on the How Many Stops Act, but another important part of this is the solitary confinement issue at Rikers Island, which would sort of redefine the rules, ensuring that 14 hours of out-of-cell time is in shared spaces. So sort of redefining what solitary might include, and you're thinking that this is going in the wrong direction.
The police bill is bad public policy. This bill on punitive segregation is going to get someone killed or seriously injured. Where's Lamar? Bookmark this video, because within a year you're going to have me back on this show to talk about some correctional officer or inmate who is injured. Right now, you're put in a punitive segregation cell. You have access to a library. You can communicate through the door. I've been in the cells. You have an iPad. You have a laptop. You have books. This is not, Papillon or the Hanoi Hilton, as some of the advocates want you to think. Right now, under this bill, these people who slash or stab or forcibly touch, sexually assault someone are going to be put into a punitive segregated cell for 4 hours with their iPads. That's not as bad as I punish my 8-year-old for going off of my wife. I mean, this is insane. This is the kind of punishment we're dealing with, a fractionably small population of Rikers Island who are violent repeat offenders. Sorry for the good news.
I don't know what to say. It takes my breath away because I love this city. I want to stay here, and a lot of people want to stay here, but it's getting very frustrating to live here.
I do too. I root for the mayor, I root for the speaker, I root for solid public policy, but when we get stuff like this, it's tough to not look at Zillow.
Joe Borelli, thank you so much. And you know what? Inundate your city council member. Let them know how you feel, and then see how they vote.